Hey, everybody. Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm Jeff Erickson here with Jen Piacenti from Shark Bets. Happy to have her on. Happy to see her in Vegas at Circa for their kickoff weekend for Radio Row. You were there for the FFWC as well. All sorts of good stuff. A lot of VEASAN appearances there. It's a good confluence of fantasy and sports betting. It's what we do. It was great. Jen, welcome to the pod. How are you?
I am so good. It was great hanging out with you, Jeff, and Nick too. We had a great time, and contest weekend at Circa is just such great energy. You know, so many fun people there, and having that with FFWC, like you said, what a blast. I am so ready for NFL season. I've been immersed in MLB, which I love and I won't stop doing, but let's get started with them.
And that's one of the things I appreciate about you is you are a multi-sport analyst. I love that you nail baseball as well as football. Check out her timeline. Follow her at Jen Piacenti on Twitter, and you can see that. You can see her, most importantly, though, at Shark Bets. It's your new baby. Right. You launched. When did you launch officially?
So we soft launched for baseball season, and it is my business. I think it's been actually very cool to think that people think I got hired by a company called Shark Bets, but Shark Bets is actually my business. We soft launched for MLB, and I would say really our big launch was basically the weekend that we were in Vegas. Fortunately, we are up 80 units since we launched. So if you bet $100 on all those plays, you're up $8,000. That's my plug.
Yeah.
But mostly we have fun. The app is really cool because you get everything in short audio and video form. You get a push notification if I have a pick. You play the video. It's like having Instagram for sports betting.
Nice. Very nice. I love it there. So check that out. Search for Shark Bets in your app stores. Make sure to check that out. And I know you have a sign-up offer as well for people to check out. What is that sign-up offer?
Yeah, it's 30 days free. No charge for 30 days. You can cancel anytime. And then after that, it's only $8.99 a month. So guys, this is really just so we can all have fun together.
Yeah, very good. Very good. So we're going to be talking a lot of week one plays. We got some season long things too. I want to check out. I want to hear who are some of the people that you are in for the football season for season long?
Oh, I mean, there are so many, right? Trevor Lawrence is probably my favorite sleeper pick at quarterback. I don't know if we want to go in for sleepers, if we want to go for who we love the most. Here's kind of where I put my eggs in my baskets, if you will. CeeDee Lamb, I think, is going to be the wide receiver one. I'm rather betting on that. I'm really excited about CeeDee Lamb this year. I have a fair amount of CeeDee Lamb, and I think Dak is going to have a big comeback season. So I have a fair amount of Dak Prescott as well. Now, I am a Cowboys fan, full disclosure, but I still have good reasons for all of this, which I can explain if anybody presses me.
Okay, very good. Well, I want to dig into Trevor Lawrence here for a second there, because I have a little bit of exposure, but not a ton this year. Okay. I think the case is pretty obvious. You know, they got Travis Hunter. They have Liam Cohen coaching now. So you're trying to build a better, a better system around him. And that's one of the arguments we've always had with Trevor Lawrence is it's never been the right setup here. This peels away all the excuses for sure.
Absolutely. And this probably the same for Caleb Williams when you get to Chicago, right? Mm-hmm. Not as long in the league as Trevor Lawrence. And obviously the problem with Trevor Lawrence has been he hasn't had that continuity with the coaching system. Doug Peterson a little bit, okay. But he also hasn't been healthy. I think we have to remember that. He was injured a lot last season. He was playing injured in some of his games last season. So we have to remember the pedigree that Trevor Lawrence had, the fact that Liam Cohen is kind of the quarterback whisperer, and give this guy definitely a shot. He still has the mobility upside too. So I'm very interested in Trevor Lawrence because he's free. You don't have to, you can literally sometimes just pick him up on the wire. He should be your number 2 quarterback ready to go. I think we're going to be surprised. I think we're going to see better play from Trevor Lawrence this season, and it costs you nothing.
Absolutely. I have to add a couple more leagues to my players tool that we have at RotoWire, which I love. The My Leagues, my tool, the customization tools. I love it. I'm going to plug it because that's what we do is we plug what we have here to offer. But I like that I could just see a player gets hurt. Oh my God, where do I have them? It's right there. Who do I have the most of? Just use that. My biggest rostered guy is Michael Penix. I didn't think that was going to be the case coming into draft season. It's mostly because of super flex leagues. Same principle though. Cost is very affordable. Unfortunately, most of those leagues were before he lost his right tackle. I'm a little less happy and enthusiastic about Penix still, but I like the talent, and I think this is a team that's also going to throw the ball a ton.
I do too. In fact, they're one of my, we might talk about sleeper picks for week 1 on DFS or something later. And I think Penix is a good one. I think he's going to be valued really, really well. So I like Penix. I have him in some dynasty leagues, so I hope he's okay without his right tackle. Hope Bijan is as well, but I don't think we should worry too much about Bijan.
All right. Yeah. And I don't think we should worry too much about him because let's face it, the usage is going to be through the roof, I feel like, this year. So I'm with you on that one. Malik Nabers, I saw you tweeting about him, how you were excited to outbid everybody in your most recent auction on him. He's fun. He's talk about a quarterback-proof type of player there. Exactly. What sort of ceiling does he have?
He has a massive ceiling. Let's think about who's throwing him the ball.
Yeah.
Maybe Russell Wilson, maybe Jackson Dart, maybe Jameis Winston. I mean, it's everybody. There's just upside for Malik. Obviously, the issue with Malik is he's a little bit injury prone. He gets banged up. He has like 3 injuries right now, all of which he'll play through. But there is some concern with that. Probably I think it's the turf toe that might be the most concerning. But mostly why I was so excited is because I didn't have any shares of Malik Nabers until last night. And fortunately, I was in an auction league. So I just said, you know what? I don't have him. I want him on at least one of my teams. I'm just going to bid up, and I don't mind if I overpay a little bit. And I did have to overpay a little bit because, actor Jerry Ferrara, Turtle from Entourage,
yes,
he's in that league. We used to do a podcast together, and he's a known Giants fan, and he knows I'm a Cowboys fan. So we had a bidding war. I paid a little bit more than I should have, but I think it's going to be worth it.
Get your guys. It's football. It's okay. You can do that a little bit, especially early on. You can kind of budget around that accordingly later on.
Exactly. And I ended up really liking my team. And so I did pay up for Malik, but I think it's going to be worth it.
So this week he gets the Commanders. I like that matchup for him quite a bit. I think you can find some pretty interesting props as far as that goes. I'm trying to pull up the latest on receiving yards for Nabers in this game against the Commanders because I don't trust this Commanders defense at all. I see it now. 72 and a half. 72 and a half.
Hey, I was going to say 72 and a half.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear you say that. I'm just blah, 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 talking that there.
All right. I'm getting I was going to play the guessing game, but
we'll do that for the future ones there. I promise I won't spoil it there. But 72 and a half at DraftKings is where it's at. Over?
Yeah, I will go over. Over because look, they're going to be playing from behind, right?
Yeah.
And somebody's going to be slinging the ball. I think that's going to be a fun matchup too.
Yeah. You can find it as high as 75 and a half at FanDuel, but 72 and a half at DraftKings at MGM is both those places. I think it's a good price there. The only thing you worry about is early season, maybe a little rust, but hey, they played everybody in the preseason, so it shouldn't be as rusty for the Giants. That's one of the things I do kind of like a little bit there. Our friend Scott Seidenberg from Veasan, he had a big, he was on a big kick about like maybe doing first half fades for teams that didn't play their starters in the preseason, notably like this Thursday night game, Dallas and Philly. Maybe you think it's a little rust early on?
I do think it's a little rust early on for this Cowboys-Eagles game. But I also sort of think that people are forgetting, again, admittedly a Cowboys fan, that Dak has won 4 of his last 5 matchups with the Eagles. This spread 7.5. I get it. The Eagles are a way better team. Yes, the Cowboys don't have Micah Parsons, but I think we're going to be surprised at some of the things that we see on Thursday night. And I think the rust might be a little bit more on the Eagles side due to potential complacency from having just won and how favored they are. So I do. That's why I haven't actually taken any player props for the Eagles yet. I do think they're the better team. I think ultimately they're going to be a great team, but I want to see them. I don't want to bet on them having not seen anything from them in the preseason.
I was just going to ask you, with Micah Parsons gone, who benefits the most from that from the Eagles?
I don't know. Probably Jalen Hurts.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I'm just trying to find an angle there, if you will. So I know you have a set of plays. I won't ask you to give away the store, but for Thursday night, I know you just dropped over at Shark Bets app. Yeah. Search Shark Bets in your app store there. You have some Thursday night plays. Give me one, please.
I do have some Thursday night plays. All right, we'll just go with I'll go with an easy one. I'm actually taking Javonte Williams for over 11.5 receiving yards. And the reason why is because I think that the Eagles are going to be very distracted trying to figure out what to do with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens and even Jake Ferguson. And I think Dak is going to dump it off. He's going to dump it off underneath to Javonte Williams, who's a much better pass catcher than the Cowboys have had in a long time. He averaged like 22 yards a game with Denver last season, more than 3 catches per game. You can also get 3 or more catches and plus money. So that's one of the plays. And again, it's risky, right? Because I'm betting on something I haven't seen. I haven't seen Javonte Williams in the preseason. He may not play a single snap. That's possible. But since I haven't seen anything from anyone, I kind of like betting on the new guys. So you'll see that my plays there are actually for the new guys, because to be honest, I'm kind of leaning towards the unders for like CeeDee Lamb and things like that. And that's not as much fun to bet.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. No one wants to do that there. And that's the funny thing is like season long props, a lot of times you can, it's really profitable to fade like rushing yards for running backs, because there's so many different ways that can, so many pass you winning there, but it's not fun. It's just not fun. You've never, unless it's either an injury, in which case, okay, yay, you're cheering somebody else's injury, or B, your bet is never done.
Right.
You have to worry about that all the way through, and that can always be difficult there. So I get it. But I also, it's like I'm, you and I both live in Southern California. It's a little more difficult to find ways. Now, obviously, we have workarounds. We can do like all the picks apps and things of that nature, but we can't do sports books here, which are a little frustrating.
This is part of why I actually moved to, I have a place in Vegas now that I'm at more than half the year. And that was a lot of it, because I needed to be able to, was finding that I would have been profitable if I were able to bet the way I wanted to and not always forced to bet in parlays. So it was a motivating factor when you do this for a living.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I've been doing a lot of VEASAN stuff lately. So my focus, I'm still fantasy focused, but, now I'm looking at also with the betting angle too. And it's also, hey, it's a different sort of game there, but it ties in so well. You like a prop, it means you're going to usually like them in DFS. Also means you're going to like them in fantasy for the week as well, and even season long a lot of times. So I think the Venn diagram completely overlaps.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, we're going to talk about week one plays, but first, you got a quick note from our friends at Fantasy Sports Knockout. Fantasy Sports Knockout, where a fantasy league meets a knockout pool, an innovative take on fantasy football. The concept is simple. Choose a new fantasy lineup each week and score points the same way you would in any fantasy league, but you must choose your players wisely. You can only use each player one time. The lowest weekly score or group of scorers is eliminated from the contest every week. The concept may be simple, but survival is not. How will you play? Will you load up early or play the matchups, or save the better players for later? Fantasy Sports Knockout. Can you survive the fantasy? Sign up at play.fantasysportsknockout.com today. I really love that concept. I think, I love survivor pools. We love our knowledge of the player pool as well for fantasy. So I like the strategic implications of that as well. Let us talk about week one, Jen. I just posted my rankings for up on RotoWire, the value meter. It's always tough in week one. I feel like there's, it's a clean slate for us. It's fresh powder. So I always find that, do I kind of like lean towards my season long rankings? How much do I dive into the matchups? I find that to be a difficult push and pull for me.
Yes. And it's the same with betting, right? This is the riskiest week to say, hey, I've got great props for you guys, because you're dealing with last year's data plus what you've kind of inferred from coaching changes and things like that. And a lot of it, we just don't know. So the first week, we're just having fun. And I think the thing to do is just bet more on the player's talent. Obviously, the scheme that you assume, but a little bit more, you're going to lean towards the talent that you believe that the player has. So for instance, this week, Christian McCaffrey, incredible amounts of talent. Yes, also the scheme. Yes, also the matchup, all of that. To me, he's going to be the number one running back. He would be my number one ranked running back. But we may see what happens. Maybe he doesn't look healthy like everybody said and all of that. And I'm going to feel foolish. Like, this guy was not the number one running back. But I have to lean on that talent, and I have to do what I would assume he will do.
Indeed. And that's one of the games in particular I find difficult there, because San Francisco has lost like 7 different receivers. Yep. They're breaking a new offensive lineman. They got so many changes on defense. Seattle's got so many changes. I like the under in that game. 43.5 is one. I think it's going to be a sloppy game early on with 2 good defenses.
I think that sounds like a really good take. The reason that I'm loving Christian McCaffrey, and that is simply because they lost so many receivers. And
Yep.
I think people started freaking out with the Brian Robinson trade and were like, oh, this means he's injured. And I thought, no, this makes me more excited because one, we know who his handcuff is, which stinks a little bit because the night before I had taken Isaac Guerendo, but whatever, it's neither here nor there now. But more that it says, hey, we really want to use CMC and we're going to be able to manage his workload. So then some people panic. Why would you want someone they're managing the workload? Well, because now he can be a receiver because they need him. And in PPR leagues, that really pays off. Every catch, every tiny catch adding up for you in full point PPR, receiving touchdowns. And let's not forget, Christian McCaffrey at times has even played quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. So I was actually encouraged by that trade. And but we're going to see. We're going to find out. That could be the worst call of the year by me.
I'm sure there'll be others that'll have worse calls. I mean, I think that's a pretty safe one, at least a logical one, if you will. But the thing is, like, I also thought that was a non-endorsement of Guerendo, non-endorsement of Jordan James. Right. I think that they both were banged up in training camp. They're like, okay, we can't have this again. When right. Jordan Mason got hurt, then Guerendo got hurt, they were left with holding the bag at the end of the year. So I think they wanted a durable guy. He's a bit of a plotter, but that's fine. He takes the tough carries between the tackles. McCaffrey doesn't have to take him. I think it works out pretty well.
Absolutely.
Let's talk quarterbacks for this week. I always find it tough on quarterbacks in particular, but if they don't have their timing. One quarterback that got more work in the preseason this year than he has maybe combined in his career is Joe Burrow. Played two games, 3 series in that second game against the Commanders that we saw in the Monday night game, including a set with the second receivers, and it worked out pretty well for him. It's traditionally a terrible starter, traditionally tough matchup, tough matchup against Cleveland. Do we like him this week?
If you drafted Joe Burrow, you have to start Joe Burrow. Are you seriously? Right. Yeah, obviously, you're starting Joe Burrow. Do I think it might be mediocre? Yes, it is a tough matchup. And as you mentioned, he is a notorious slow starter. It would be great to see him break that, though. If any game were to go over, I kind of feel like it's this one. I think both sides are going to surprise us in this game. And I will tell you that I like Cleveland plus the points. I think they might keep it closer because of what you mentioned, because of the slow start from the Bengals, and because, unfortunately, their defense, rather like the Dallas defense, is probably going to allow the other team to score some points.
100%. You want to play Guess the Prop?
Sure, let's play.
Okay, Joe Burrow's passing yard prop. It's the highest on the board. Where do we think it's at?
I think it's at 255.5.
Raise. It's 265 and a half now.
265.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
wow. I don't know about that. I would just stay away.
I think that's the right call. I think it's a stay away also. And I'm full disclosure, Bengals fan here. I can't bet unders on my Joe Burrow shares, but I will say that I just won't bet it then.
Yeah, don't bet it.
That's the beauty of it. Let's talk a little bit about Jordan Love. He missed a good chunk of the preseason. I know, I listen to a lot of podcasts, walking the dog or whatever. And, bless their hearts. They're the, they're like the football snobs out there. They all love Jordan Love, all of them. I think we saw the playoff run a couple of years ago, but last year was so frustrating. What do you think about him this year?
I like him as a second option, as someone that might end up being okay. I do think he'll be improved from last year because he was dealing with an injury. Mm-hmm. We saw that he had no mobility the previous year. He'd used his legs a lot more, but he obviously didn't feel comfortable doing that. Now they have Micah Parsons. I think Matthew Golden is very interesting. In fact, maybe even interesting for offensive rookie of the year because of the odds. I always pick people based on how I can get paid out.
Sure, of course.
Yeah, 25-1. Yeah. So I'm interested in Jordan Love. I think I have 1 or 2 shares of him in a few leagues as my second quarterback. I would not feel confident rolling into the season with him as my QB1.
Right. I'm the same way. This matchup against the Lions is interesting to me.
Yes.
Because let's face it, the Lions have some significant changes, both the coordinators, they swapped out one of their top corners. They got some guys that are missing due to injury. I think there's some shootout potential here. Jordan Love's passing yards prop I won't spoil it this time. Would you care to guess at that one?
I think it's lower, 235.5.
Oh, you're good. 234.5. Really, really on point there. Means it's a stay away, probably.
Exactly.
But man, you nailed that.
To stay away. I've done this too much already. Can you believe it? And I'm so young. How could I have done it this much?
Yeah, I know, right? Well, hey, there you go. The best part is, and now that you can act on it though, too. So there you got that going for you. Yeah. That's the thing is, it's a volume thing with Love too. I mean, I think the Packers would love to be able to run the ball as much as they did. I think maybe a little less than they did in the second half of the season. I'm all over Jacobs in fantasy. I'm less so on Love. I'm less so on the wideouts. I don't have any Matthew Golden. I liked him at his original price, but by the time I got around to liking him, he was already too expensive.
Gotten too much. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. There's such a hive mind, if you will, among the fantasy, especially those of us who kind of live in this echo chamber, if you will, the same people saying the same things. And a lot of players have really gotten hyped. I mean, obviously, I'm sure you've spoken about Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. There's just, and then Chris Rodriguez and all of this business. So Trevion Henderson, Caleb Johnson, Jalen Warren, there's a whole lot of this and a lot of major swings from when we first started drafting. I mean, I took Quinshon Judkins in like the 4th round for the Scott Fish Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
Darn.
Well, the thing is, I did so you weren't live LA this year.
No, I was live Vegas and we were the first draft.
Right. The news broke on Judkins in the LA draft. And Julia Papworth is in my league, and she just had drafted him maybe a round before the news broke, too, of course.
Man.
Tough break on him. I like taking him now at his current price. I think
now?
Yeah.
I think people are passing too much. I mean, he did sign the contract yesterday. There's still, I believe the understanding is the suspension could be 2 to 4 games still. There still could be. But even still, if you have someone you're getting, again, for free at the end of your draft that could carry you through the second half, we know how run first that Browns offense is, you're getting that guy, or you should be getting.
Absolutely. Let's talk running backs. Now that we already started with Judkins there. You alluded to it already. The Washington running backs.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had the gift of foresight. You took Ja'Cory/Bill Krosky-Merritt in the 17th round of your draft. You've got your windfall. Are you starting him in your flex spot now?
No. Unlikely. I assume that I have somebody else that I would rather start there. I don't trust it. If you look at even like their player props that are posted at the sports books, they're very low. You know you're going to have a 3-headed monster no matter what. Austin Eckler didn't die. Okay. He's still there. You've got Chris Rodriguez, who they've come out and said, hey, he's going to be getting a lot of the goal line carries. He's listed ahead of Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt on the depth chart. And I think we all love to have preseason heroes. And I'm not saying Ja'Cory won't be. I'm not saying he won't be. I'm just saying there is no way that I'm confidently rolling him out in my flex spot just based on a lot of beat reporters and a good run he had in preseason. But then again, so did Chris Rodriguez. And we've still got Austin Eckler there. So no, I'm not confidently rolling him out in my flex personally. I want to take a wait and see approach to that.
I agree with you. Chris Rodriguez, I agree with Uncle Ted, is still free. He's still sitting on waiver wires. I'm adding him as like my last guy that I add now, and swapping out lesser handcuffs, lesser lottery tickets that I've already drafted. Sure, I'll add Rodriguez. Let's not forget the first carry of that Bengals preseason game went to Rodriguez. Not Krosky-Merritt there. Went for 40 yards. I got him like the 17th round of the Fishbowl in the case of Bill, but I'm not going to use him either this first week. Although it's close because I also drafted Brandon Ayuk and I also drafted Jordan Addison. Shame on me. I knew things were coming there.
But you know what? Sometimes those are good calculated risks because are you going to find a guy on the wire in week 7 or 8 that's any better than Brandon Ayuk? Probably not. So I baked those into a few of my drafts too, especially my high stakes leagues. I'm like, you know what? Can't trade in these leagues. I want to get this guy now. He's not going to last on the wire. I'm just going to hold him. I'm going to be fine with this. So that's fine.
And it's uniformly true in these high stakes leagues that the waiver wire stinks. It really stinks. The NFFC, it's 20-man rosters. There are about 5 difference makers all year that you can pick up. So if you get one, you hang on for dear life for sure.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Let's talk about Omarion Hampton. What sort of share does he get on Friday night against the Chiefs? And we got all excited about drafting him. Now you have to think about, do I start him against this Chiefs run defense? Yeah, you're going to start him, but man, the reality kind of kicks in that, okay, he is going to share time with Najee Harris.
So I've been the low person on Omarion Hampton all season. I'm sorry to be that person. It's not because I don't think that he's immensely talented. It's more because I think people want so much to buy into his talent. But if we really look at Greg Roman offenses, he doesn't stick with one bell cow back. We knew that they signed Najee Harris. Najee Harris has never missed an NFL football game. I did not believe he was going to miss season. I just didn't. He's going to be there. He's never missed a game. This is who he is. And not for nothing, he's tough. He may not be incredibly efficient, but he gets the job done. So I think Omarion Hampton is going to be a great player. I think maybe midway through the season, he's going to take off, but people were drafting him as if he was the day one starter and already heir apparent to offensive rookie of the year. So I have 0 shares because again, it got pushed up so high. And if you go to look at the sports books, his yardage props are going down and down. I believe now it's down to like 46.5. It was 48.5 like yesterday. So I think the books are feeling the same way. Now the Chiefs defense was a little bit more generous to runners the last few games of the season last year, but I imagine they're going to come back a little tougher. So no, obviously you're starting Omarion Hampton. If you drafted him, you're starting him. But for me, I'm just not as high as everybody else. To me, in my mind, he's more of a flex play. Obviously, you're not starting him in his flex because he has a Friday game. Don't make that mistake.
Good point. Very good point. If you have absolutely good point. And we got 2 early games this week. Really make sure you put so you have the ultimate flexibility. We learned last year on Monday Night Football how important that flexibility is. I was smart enough to back up CMC with Jordan Mason. I wasn't smart enough to put other guys on the running back spot and leave my flex open. Shame on me. There's a converse. If you have the Monday night game, put those guys in your flex. You never know what's going to happen. That's also a good counter argument, by the way. The CMC thing is never draft early. Okay, well, great. You still got burned by CMC. Congratulations. You drafted late and you got it right. Oh, except you didn't. So it still can change.
Exactly.
All right. One more running back I wanted to talk about, James Cook. Got significantly paid. I was surprised by that. I didn't think the Bills would do that. I didn't think Cook would be the guy that would get all that guaranteed money. Beyond that, though, everyone talks about the touchdowns last year. It's going to regress. It'll regress, but to what? As our friend Scott Pianowski always likes to say. Tough matchup against Baltimore. Do you, again, for fantasy season long, you're starting him, but for props, for other sort of opportunities, what do you think about this matchup?
To stay away from me for props and also for DFS. Obviously, as you said, I agree with you. You're starting him in fantasy. I have him in a couple leagues. He's your starting running back. I'm excited for Cook. I think he's going to be good. I don't think he's going to be great, but I think he's a solid pick. And I think that's a solid team. And Josh Allen can't score all the touchdowns. Somebody has to do it. They are a run first team. And what other receivers are they going to be using? They're obviously going to use a run game there. So I like James Cook. I would just avoid him this week in DFS and also for player props. The great thing about player props is the markets are so massive. The menu is incredible. You can go and just pick the 3 or 4. And I advise picking the 3 or 4 markets that are the least scrutinized because the books have to get these out so fast. They don't have the time. Week 1's a little trickier. They did have time, but they don't have the time to go look at, for instance, props for Noah Gray. Maybe he's just not high on they might make more of a mistake with Noah Gray than they will with Travis Kelce.
Yeah, it takes one big early bet and that will all tighten up real quick. But that's why you have a place in Vegas. You can hammer those early there too and see how they drop for sure. And the other takeaway too is shop around. I know RotoWire has a tool that has like 7 different books, and I imagine you've got something similar at SharkBet, where player props, there's a lot more volatility than sides and totals. So
actually, I use RotoWire.
Okay.
To be honest, I will actually tell you this, and this is true, and Jeff doesn't even know this. The first place I go every morning when I'm starting my bets is I have a save tab for my RotoWire membership, which I've had for years. And I go look at Who are the starting pitchers for MLB? What's the weather? Who has historical stats that are good? For football, I look at defense versus position. I totally trust RotoWire, and I can honestly say from a subscriber that you guys go there, trust them. You're going to get everything you need. Shark bets, I'm going to give you like plays that I like and the way I see it, but like you need to know stats and like to figure out your own stuff, because I don't let you figure out your own stuff in shark bets.
Right. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. It was why you guys should check out that 30-day trial at Shark Bets there. Check that out. Shark Bets, wherever you get your apps from. And while you want to check out RotoWire, use promo code YouTube15, get 15% off any RotoWire subscription. The tool that I like now that I've been using more and more, and maybe this is because of all the work I've been doing on VSiN, is we have a player props tool. We have for season long and also for each weekly prop too. And I'll tell you, it's just so nice to be able to find your best price, your best odds somewhere there, your best number to hit. It's so nice because there is variance. And I'm sure, and the thing is, the NFL is probably the tightest of those, but we can bet on anything. That's the beauty of Vegas. Like college football, there's got to be so much more variance.
I will tell you, there's one bet that's in the Shark Bets app. It's a long shot bet. On one book, it's plus 425. On another, it's plus 900. Wow. That's a measurable difference. So yes, shop around. Absolutely.
And go dig into the non-power conferences and college sports there. You can find some serious value especially if you're a big fan, if you know that conference really well, a program particularly well. I mean, it's profitable. So have some fun with it too. We are brought to you by the folks at Chalkboard. Cash in on your NFL picks this season with Chalkboard. Simply choose more or less on your favorite player stats to win up to 5,000 times your money. For a limited time only, new players get $20 free with no deposit required. Yes, you heard that right. $20 free just on sign up. See why over 1 million fans have already locked in with Chalkboard to turn their sports knowledge into cold hard cash. Whether you're locking in the perfect slip with alternate lines, using the cash out feature to take your money and run, or hammering the daily promos, today is your chance to win up to $40,000 on a single entry. Stop sitting on the sidelines and get into the game with Chalkboard Fantasy Sports. Now available in 30-plus states. Download Chalkboard today and use promo code ROTONFL. That's ROTONFL to get $20 free, no deposit required. Thank you to Chalkboard for their sponsorship here. Our guest is Jen Piacenti from Shark Bets. Go get Shark Bets, the app, any of your app stores there. Follow Shark Bets on Twitter and follow Jen on Twitter at Jen Piacenti. You can see everything they have. Some really good stuff there. Let's talk wide receivers, Jen. I think this is a really interesting week. Some good matchups, some bad matchups. I'm going to start off with the bad matchup. Davante Adams draws Houston, might draw. I think that pass rush is tough. That secondary is tough. He's had 0 time with Stafford this preseason. I'm a little scared of that. I like Adams for season long, but I don't like him this week.
I agree with you. I don't like him particularly this week either. However, there are 2 interesting things to know that I uncovered when I was looking up specific bets last year about Houston Texans, that is they don't give up a lot of catches. They do give up at least 1 massive gain per game, at least 1 really big play, 45 yards, something like this. So I wouldn't put it past Davante Adams making us look silly, or Puka Nacua making us look silly. And one thing I do like about Davante Adams is Davante Adams has a really good nose for the end zone. And one of the problems last season with the Los Angeles Rams was they could not get past third down. They couldn't do it. I think that having Davante Adams is going to help them a lot. So I agree with you. It is not a great matchup on Sunday. I think he could be a contrarian play in a large tournament if everyone thinks the way that we do.
Yeah. And, it's week 1. Everybody's excited. You're going to see people pounding that Atlanta-Tampa Bay game, for instance, there. You're going to be people will be all over Detroit, Green Bay, I'm sure. And so this will be kind of elude people's attention a little bit more, perhaps. So it is interesting, but both defenses could be pretty tough in this one here, too. Because the Rams defense, going against that Houston offensive line really is scary, too.
The O-line's terrifying.
Yeah. You were bad last year. You trade away your best offensive lineman, at least by name, by reputation, Laramie Tunsil, and somehow get better. Hard to see it.
Apparently it was a locker room situation. I always try to respect that. Like, Speaking of, did you see what Framber Valdez did last night?
Oh my goodness. That was terrible, Jen. That was awful.
And the idea that it wasn't on purpose, it was 100% on purpose.
100% on purpose.
Trying to being his own catcher. I'm really impressed with Salazar and how he handled it. But for anybody who didn't see it, Salazar called a certain pitch. Framber shook it off, threw what he wanted, and it got sent to the Crawford boxes. I believe it was the Crawford boxes. Anyway, grand slam.
Grand slam. Yep.
Embarrassing. And then in the next, at the next batter, I believe his Volpe was up, and he threw, Salazar called a pitch, and Framber just threw right at his catcher instead.
Yep. He was expecting a breaking pitch. Instead, it was a 93-mile-an-hour cross up there. And he didn't see like my bad or anything like that. He turned away.
He just turned around.
Screaming. Yeah. You could tell it was totally purposeful. That's a guy that's not going to get re-signed this offseason.
Oh no. Well, his contract's up, and I don't see them keeping him in the clubhouse. And it's a problem for the Astros. I know this is a football podcast. I'm sorry, guys.
That's okay.
They need to address that. They've got enough issues, and it's unfortunate. I don't think, Houston's going to get out of the first round after this. This is like the final straw. You got nobody healthy, and then your ace is the head case.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it sheds a lot of light on him and what he is like as a whole there. I mean, he's had his brilliant moments.
He's going to have trouble.
Great guy when things are going good.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we'll pivot back over to football. This guy is not a head case. This is a guy everybody loves. You know who loves JSN? Everybody. Unfortunately, that's the problem. You don't. All right, tell me more.
I shouldn't say not me. I still like him. I think we've gone way overboard with the JSN hype personally. This guy was brilliant when he was in the slot last season, but now they've got Cooper Kupp, who's going to take a lot of those routes. I'm not sure that he's really suited for the other role. And actually, when he was running the outside routes last year, he was quite bad.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll switch it with Cooper Kupp. We got a new offensive system. We got Kubiak there. It's going to be more run first. I hope I'm wrong. I do. But I used to love hammering his player props. He would hit for me at a really high rate. I'm staying away. I really need to see this, and I have 0 shares in fantasy. I think he's just going too high. Could he be that? Yes, absolutely. It's not a bet I'm making though.
61.5 is the prop on that. That's aggressive against the Niners. So I'm with you on that. The thing is, I liked taking him in the 3rd round, but he started creeping up to mid-second round.
Yeah.
And yeah, I agree. It got too expensive.
Yeah.
Got too expensive for me. And you know what that did too is I like a lot of the running backs at the end of the 2nd round. If I happen to get lucky enough to get the 1 pick, please push that helium on JSN. I'll take Josh Jacobs. I'll take Jonathan Taylor. I
believe Jonathan Taylor's falling that far.
I know.
It's such a good value. Everybody should be tapping that.
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor at the 2. That's at the turn right there. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I also don't want to get into the running back dead zone before I get at least 1 running back, maybe 2 even, because I don't know how pronounced the dead zone is this year. I think that sometimes gets to be a little bit of an overblown concept, but at the same time, we already saw one guy fall out in Joe Mixon. Would it be that hard to see? I hate to say it there, but I'm afraid of James Conner this year. I don't really want it. One of these years we're going to be right. And
I know. I agree. I don't think I have any James Conner. It's not because he hasn't demonstrated it. And, it's, but the argument for me with James Conner is different than Derrick Henry. Like people kept saying it about Derrick Henry. And last year I was still really high on Henry. And I'm like, he's a unicorn. He's a unicorn. I love James Conner. I don't think he's unicorn level. So I think this is probably the year, which is why a lot of people are in on Benson. I still think he's going to be a good running back. Like Aaron Jones, it's going to be a good running back, but eventually they got to pass the mantle. And we saw how quickly, I hope it doesn't happen. We saw how quickly Dalvin Cook fell off.
Yeah.
A few others recently. Sorry, I'm drawing blanks, but you know what I'm saying. So
I have no Aaron Jones either. That's another guy I don't have any of. I have plenty of Jordan Mason. I have 0 Aaron Jones this year. So yeah. I that's the concept we're trying to avoid. All right. So I'm going to go with a guy a little bit lower down that I do like this year is Josh Downs. And I don't love Daniel Jones, but I like him a little bit more than Anthony Richardson when it comes to my Josh Downs shares. What say you?
I am not as high as on Josh Downs as everybody else,
Okay.
simply because he's primarily a slot receiver. So yeah, if he gets a lot of volume, that's fine. But just generally, that offense, the only one I'm really attracted to is Jonathan Taylor. So Josh Downs does seem to be the heir apparent I'd rather have than Josh Downs than Michael Pittman. Then again, Michael Pittman's gotten so inexpensive that maybe he's worth a late grab too. I've just kind of been avoiding the Colts altogether.
That's a viable play too. And of course, it's kind of wild to see how you get Taylor and you get a little bit of discounted price on him, and then you to go all the way to like pick 85, 90 before you get your next Colt. I think if the quarterback situation wasn't so bad, I would like some of these players more. I'd like Tyler Warren more. I'd like Downs more. I'd like Pittman more. Pittman was a third-round guy last year. Now he's around pick 100.
Yeah, he's literally free in your draft at the end. And I get it, he was a third-round pick, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He
was. Crazy. And he got the extension, we're all happy about that, but just they botched the quarterback situation so badly that Richardson can't develop. He needs to play, but they can't afford to have him play because they're trying to save their job. They're stuck in this catch-22. It's just a big mess, really big mess. And then, of course, all the stuff that's coming out about Jim Irsay now after the fact, after his passing. But they're in a transitional state in a lot of different ways.
That's a nice way to say it, Jeff.
Thank you. I try to be the nice way of saying it there. We are on the Blue Wire Network. We're grateful to be on the Blue Wire Network. Here are their ads. All right. I am Jeff Erickson here with Jen Piacenti from Shark Bets. Let's talk a couple of tight ends on our way out here. Evan Ingram, what does he do in his new location? Is the Joker going to be really funny, or is he going to fool us?
I think we're going to have a decent season from Evan Ingram. We know that he's a volume. He's not like a long ADOT guy. You're not going to get a lot of long catches from Ingram, but you should get some targets. And again, based on where he's going, I feel like that's a bet I'm definitely willing to make. Just again, it's not expensive. And the tight end landscape is so interesting this year. You have these really top guys. You have Kittle, they're going to have to throw the ball somewhere, like we were talking about earlier. You've got McBride and you've got Bowers. I'm lower on Bowers than most people too, but you've got those three. Maybe you want to grab one early, and then you get to wait a long time. And then it seems to me there's a lot of value in players like David Njoku and TJ Hawkinson. And then you've even got like a Jake Ferguson, and Evan Ingram is kind of getting lost in there and just these like last picks. I feel like there's so many. Just bet on a couple of them. One of them is going to hit. Indeed.
I was just going to ask you, what do you do with the tight end pool this year? Are you a premium tight end person? Are you a wait on the tight ends? What do you usually like to do?
If it's a tight end premium scoring league, then yeah, I will make that move for a premium tight end. And there's been a few times where I've been in the draft, it got there and it was like, I don't like these receivers, because I think the receiver is also there's a gap this year between there's the top three and then a lot of other kind of end of first round guys that are great, but have injury issues or something that's, makes you look nervous. You don't want to be overexposed. And then, you've got some decent running backs. So it's been kind of like years of old where you can get those running backs early and really wait on a quarterback. I think you can really wait on a QB this year too. So the tight end is one that I've played around all different kinds of builds, because I feel like that changes your build a lot. So when the value has been there, I've taken a Kittle, I've taken a McBride, no Bowers. More often, I'm more in that Njoku, Hawkinson land. And then a few I've just said, I'm just going to go for I'm going to take a shot on Ferguson, Ingram, Mason Taylor at the end,
Yeah, so I have so much Ferguson in my life there. I either have Kittle or Ferguson. It's, with a little sprinkle of Ingram, I got one Hawkinson pick. And there's one of those dead spots in the wide receiver pool. I got all these injured wide receivers, or I could take Hawkinson. I'll take Hawkinson because he's going to get early targets. Yeah, that's how I played it there a lot there. On our way out, I wanted to ask you one non-obvious play you have for week one. It can be a sleeper for DFS. It can be for a prop. Who's one of your favorite, out of the woodwork kind of guys that you like for week one?
I think I'm going to go here with Jerome Ford. This is a boring play, but it's inexpensive in DFS. He can catch passes. I believe it's going to be a more competitive game. And nobody's talking about Jerome Ford in a run-first offense. And he's one of the running backs that had some of the longest runs last season. People don't realize. So I'm going to go with the dirt cheap Jerome Ford here.
I am way too in on Cleveland. First of all, I'm a self-hating Bengals fan. So I've got that going for me here. He went to the University of Cincinnati, my dad's alma mater, by the way. He had a big game against the Bengals in week 16, 11 for 92 and a touchdown. Remember, he went first play of the game, I think it was. He had a big, long run in that game against the Bengals. And, he had a lot of catches in that game, 5 for 39. Yes, I like this a lot. Didn't play in the first game against them, but yeah, we're not going to see Judkins this week. We know this. But I think a lot of people think Sampson's got higher upside. Give me Ford. I'm with you on that. I'm going to say get up, get down. David Njoku is not a joke in this town. I like him a lot this week as well.
Me too.
His prop has gone up, though. He started at 46.5. He's up to 50.5 receiving yards over
shoot, I was going to look at that. That was going to be one of my plays. All right.
Still might be okay. I mean, he easily eclipsed that in both games last year. What's that?
Maybe we'll look at the catch prop instead of the yardage prop. Maybe that'll work.
Yep. Strangely fixated on Cleveland this week there. And I think it might be an over game too. I think the Bengals come out of the chute a lot better offensively, but they're just the same defense. Duke Tobin at the combine said, I don't want to spend more money and have the same team. He spent more money and has the same team. Except, Al Golden is the young defensive player whisperer now. And so somehow the defense is going to be better. I don't see it, but it's really frustrating. Really, really frustrating on that. Jen, it has not been frustrating at all, though, talking with you. I really enjoyed talking with you for today. I'm so glad you're betting on yourself with Shark Bets. Folks, check out the Shark Bets app. Really good stuff there. Jen, thanks for coming on again. Tell everybody where they can find you. Tell everybody about Shark Bets one more time on the way out.
First off, thanks for having me, Jeff. Always have a great time. Love RotoWire. Love all the guys at RotoWire. You can find me on social media at Jen Piacenti, Jen with one N, Piacenti, Instagram, all of that, or at SharkBets app, also there. But most importantly, head over to the Google Play Store, the iOS store, and search for SharkBets. Download the app. You can use it for free for 30 days, and then you can cancel anytime you want, but it's $8.99 a month, and we have a ton of fun. We have a lot of fun. We're up 80 units so far, so that's my plug.
Let's go. No truth to the rumor that Framber gave up those 80 units. That's why he's steaming there. But
did not bet on Framber, thank God.
There we go. Excellent. You did bet on Soto though yesterday or 2 days ago with that, and that was lovely. He has been so good lately. I mean, it's been ridiculous. All right, we could go on forever about that. I know people are listening for football here. Tomorrow, we got Mario and John. Thanks for listening to the RotoWire Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm Jeff Erickson. She's Jen Piacenti. Have a great day. Good luck in week 1.